Who needs enemies when you have friends like these?
You know what hurts? When you look around and realize people you thought were your friends aren't your friends. So let me tell you about my moment. So I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. The last 4 months, I've been horribly depressed. Like the most depressed I've been in years. I didn't leave the house. I packed on a load of weight. I moved about 15 minutes outside of like the heart of Denver. And I didn't realize like just that little 15-minute drive would isolate me so much. Like I just, it is what it is, you know? Well, I reach out to my friend group and, you know, I see on their Instagram all the time, like they're doing things without me. I'm never getting invited. And in my head, I'm like 15 minutes isn't that far. Like maybe they just like don't like me anymore. And so I like asked them, I was like, hey, like I'm really not doing okay. Can you guys like bring me in more? Like I don't live that far. Like I can catch an Uber, like please.
Here's a little piece of advice. If you have to beg your friends to invite you to places or beg them to hang out with you, they're not your real friend. You're only 15 minutes out of the city. 15 minutes ain't that far. Don't let them make up excuses.
And then I'm sitting there in my head like, why am I begging people to hang out with me? Like, Morgan, what the But like I was in such a bad spot that it was just like, it was better than being alone. So then they're like, yeah, girly girl, no problem, girly pop, libby girl. Well, I had to initiate. I invited one of my like girlfriends in that group to like meet me out for drinks. And it was like the first time I had been out and seen people in like a month and a half. And so I'm talking to her and I was like, hey, listen, like, I'm like really not doing okay. Here's what's going on. And like, I just needed to talk. And she's like, And I was like, yeah, so if you guys could like bring me in more, like, I'd really like that. Like, you guys are my friends. She's like, yeah, no problem.
But they won't
And
do
then,
it.
like, right after she says that, she starts telling me about how they all booked a trip together. And she's telling me about, like, the intricacies of this trip and all these things they're going to do as I'm actively not invited. And I'm just sitting there, like, clenching my drink, like, this is so hard to hear right now. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Like, I've asked you guys numerous times to, like, bring me in more. And you're sitting here after I just poured my heart out to you. And you're telling me about a trip you guys are all going on. And how, like, oh my God, it's going to be so much fun.
It wouldn't surprise me if she's done that on purpose. It's not like she's being tone deaf. It feels like she's doing that to pour more salt into the wind.
And so I just was like, I close out, I go home, sob the entire way home. I'm so sad. And so then I reach out to her and I was like, hey, I'm going to be so honest with you. Like that really hurt my feelings. Like I actively told you like how alone I feel and how I would pray you guys would like bring me in. And you just sat there and
Didn't care.
just talked about how I'm actively not invited to another thing. She's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel like that. Well, fast forward 6 weeks. I get a text from her. Haven't heard from anyone. Absolute crickets. I get a text from her. She's like, sorry, I've just been struggling with like seasonal depression and I just need to like, I had to focus on myself and like talking to you gave me a lot of anxiety. But if you want to meet up and chat, we can do that now. And I'm like, you didn't give a about my depression, how bad I was doing. You let me go 6 weeks without hearing from you and now you just want to pop back up. You're not my friends.
She most likely viewed you as a part-time friend. If she's not able to go out for full-time friends, she'll look for you just to fill in her time. We've all had part-time friends. I've had quite a few of them. It's why I don't have a lot of friends. I literally have 2 friends and thank God they're full-time friends. Last year I told my best friend of 5 years that I felt like I was the only one maintaining the relationship. She told me that she was sorry and that she would try to do better. After that it was all crickets and I dropped her. It sucks though. I was there for her so much and she wasn't there for me not even once. When it comes to friendship breakups, the long-term ones are the worst. If you've been really closely friends with somebody for a long time, breaking up that friendship is difficult. It's probably more difficult than breaking up with a partner. And sometimes friendships can be a lot more intimate in a different way.
Get ready with me while I tell you about my toxic friend that I cut off after 21 years.
I literally just spoke about long-term friendships and this girl is cutting off a best friend she's been friends with for 21 years. 21 years.
Alright, so my friend, let's call her Olivia. Thank you, One Direction. I've known her since kindergarten and everything was fine until we got to high school. She started to get a reputation of being the boy stalker of the entire school. She would somehow find guys' numbers and she would message them, never getting the hint that they weren't interested, and people just weren't too keen on her because they were afraid of her.
Okay, so she's a boy crazy girl, aka a psychopath.
When it came to boys, there was no boundaries. She actually messaged my sister's boyfriend after she went with me to visit my grandpa while he was in hospice. My sister's boyfriend was with her. She met him for probably 1 second, didn't even say anything.
Okay.
Messaged him on Facebook that night and basically said, hi, I'm Olivia. We met at the hospital.
Ooh.
Why are you sliding into his DMs right now? Not only that, but there was actually a guy that I was talking to. Guess whose DMs that she slid in? He ended up sending me the text messages of proof saying, like, is this your friend? She was hitting on the guy that I was talking to.
I'm trying to work out if she's tone deaf and maybe not socially aware, or if she's just trying to self-sabotage everyone's relationships. And I feel like she's trying to do a bit of self-sabotation.
This is supposed to be my best friend, mind you. We got in a fight. Things were fine. I always end up taking her back because I'm too much of an empath, and I was just like, okay, you
Don't
made a
be an
mistake.
empath.
She didn't, though, because we ended up going to college together, and this is where things get really bad.
Oh, so it also seems like they are stuck with each other, which is quite bad in situations like that. It's difficult to end in friendships because you're always in their presence.
There were these two guys. I thought one was cute. She thought the other one was cute. Her guy was also really interesting. He would keep girls' underwear and put them on his fan in his room. So that's the kind of guy that she was going after. I don't even think I ever spoke to my guy. I just thought he was, like, cute. But this is where it gets bad. So we were in, like, the common room one day, and her guy is passing, and me and her are playing pool. He comes in, and he's trying to be, like, all flirtatious and says, like, oh, like, can I play pool with you guys? She walks away. She goes to sit down on the couch, and then she's looking at me, like, angrily, like, and I'm like, what are you doing? This is your moment to shine. The idiotic guy goes, oh, winner gets a kiss. So I'm like, oh my God, Olivia, what are you playing? Like, this was the perfect setup. The guy he didn't even care. He just wanted anybody. So I was like, listen, he's ready to go. Okay, you really wanted him. Let's do this. She's just staring at me. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I did not entertain his conversation whatsoever. I ended up leaving with her, and I'm like, we're not doing this.
Something tells me that she only wants guys who don't want her. Whenever she gets attention off a guy, she doesn't want him anymore. However, guys who aren't into her, for example, her boyfriend, is the type of guy she wants to go after. We're only like 2 minutes into this video, and I feel like I've already cracked this crazy friend.
As we're leaving, the guy that I think is cute is passing, and he looks in and he just waves. That was it. Nothing else. A wave. She's still mad. So I'm like, what happened here? She ends up sending me a really long paragraph that night about how she's upset that her guy said the kiss thing when I literally was trying to be her wing woman. And then she was mad that the guy I thought was cute waved at me. So this is just the beginning. Get ready for part 2. Welcome to part 2. So this entire book, I shouldn't even call it a paragraph. This book is her describing how she's upset because she thinks I'm pretty. She's describing how she's upset that the guy I think is cute waved at me, and I said, why would that make you upset? Like, you should be happy for me because that's the only interaction I've had with this man.
I don't know how old they are in this situation. I'm gonna guess they're maybe late teenagers, maybe 17, 18, 19. This just feels like such childlike behavior. This girl just seems like the type of girl that wants to self-sabotage herself and everyone else.
She did not care. I can understand feeling like insecure, but I didn't do anything wrong. But she was directing her anger at me. So that was that. Let's fast forward, and I actually started talking to a guy at college. And this was like actually, like, we weren't dating, but we were seeing each other. This is where it gets really, really weird, okay? Things are going well with this guy. He's literally sleeping over. She literally has the audacity to text me one day and go, hey, so I think me, you, and blank should go on a vacation together. Maybe we can share him. She did not mean, like, all of us having a party together, and which I would also not be okay with. She literally, to the T, wrote, I can have him one night, you can have him the other.
Yeah, that is not normal at this point by the sounds of it. She's got a crush on you. I think we've actually just cracked it even more. She is a lesbian, bisexual, you know, she wants you. She wants to share your boyfriend. Why? So it means that she can also get a bit of you off him.
A guy that I'm actually, like, talking to. Tell me how that makes sense.
Tell
me how you have the audacity to bring that up. I kind of let that slide because, again, I always took her back after a fight. I don't know why. I think it's because I felt sorry that she didn't really have any other friends, and I've known her for so long, so I'm like, oh, it's just like something that she does. I ended up leaving the college like a few months later. I just wanted to do different things, and thankfully I did, because during this time is when I met my now husband.
Oh, hide him from her.
She did not like that A, I had somebody who liked me, and she also didn't like that B, I left the school.
Probably because no one else would put up with her behaviour. She's also a controlling friend by the sounds of it. It's kind of like, you know, she's going to dictate how you live your life. This girl just seems like an emotional and mental mess.
She ended up leaving the school shortly after as well, and she kind of refused to ever meet my now husband.
Good.
She did meet him once. We all went to get bagels, but like anytime he was visiting from England, I'd be like, oh, like, I really want you to see Sam, and she would be like, no. And I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. Over this time, she was having a few different boyfriends, and she cheated on every single one of them, sometimes with their best friends. So this is when I started pushing away, because I'm like, I don't want to be friends with someone who has no remorse for something like that. We decided to go on a little girl's getaway upstate, and she is at the supermarket with me, and she goes, what should we cook them for dinner tonight? I go, who? Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. Who are we cooking dinner for? Go to part 2, I'm so sorry. Welcome to part 3. This girl has the audacity to say that these 2 guys are coming over. One for me, one for her. I'm dating Sam at the time, okay? I think we were together maybe like 2 years at this point.
What is her obsession with you and her sharing guys? That is a topic that keeps coming up. Apparently you're sharing everything. She wanted you and her to share the same guy, and now she wants to share 2 guys between you two.
I'm like, are you actually kidding me? She had these 2 guys come over, and I said to her, if you leave me alone with one of these men, I will never talk to you again.
It's dangerous.
Thankfully she did not, but I was not happy. I was texting Sam the whole time like, I have to get out of here. Also, side note, the guy that she was like bringing over, she cheated with her other boyfriend with this guy at one point, but she said it was 1 pump, so it didn't count as cheating. Now the next part is probably the worst thing that she has ever done, and I don't know how I took her back after this. This should have been the last straw. But one of my friends passed away, and the day after she passed away, Olivia was gossiping about it to everybody. She messaged me, and she messaged my other friend, and she was like, hey, did you hear this is how she died? It wasn't even correct. Like, it wasn't even the way that she died, and she was just gossiping about it. So I said, yes, I understand that she passed. She was a close friend of mine, and I'd rather not talk about that. And she goes, oh, sorry, didn't know you guys were best friends. That was her reply to me saying that I was upset. Keep in mind, throughout our entire friendship, she never once was there for me. Like, anytime I needed her, she wasn't there. But every time she needed me, I dropped everything like that. Everyone around me, my friends and family were always like, why are you still friends with her? She treats you like garbage, and I just couldn't see it. But after my friend passed and she was just making it a gossip thing and then not even showing her support or anything, that's when I was like, all right, you're disgusting. Anytime I would call her out on something, she would end up blocking me on legitimately every single platform. I don't know why. It was almost like I did something wrong. So she would block me, and then whenever she decided like, oh, okay, I'm gonna message her now, she would just message me like nothing happened. She would literally message like, hey, how are you? Not an apology, not anything. After the whole friend thing happened, I ended up taking her back again. It sounds like we're in a relationship. I ended up taking her back, and this is when it was like around the time of my wedding. So we were talking about my wedding. I was so excited. I obviously sent her the bridal shower invitation, the wedding invitation. She did not come to either one.
Good.
My best friend did not come to our wedding. She didn't even send a congratulations card. She didn't even say congratulations. She also did say she was going to come to the bridal shower, and she just didn't come. Her parents are also just as bad because they've known me since I was 5 years old, and they couldn't even say congrats. So I was just like, this whole family is so toxic. And to this day, she has still been messaging me. And guess what, guys? I have not answered. So I'm finally done. Get rid of the toxic people in your life.
Well, that right there was one hell of a roller coaster. If we talk about that end bit there, I have a feeling she's been feeding misinformation to her parents. I don't know if it's necessarily a family issue. I feel like it's more of a her issue. Is she an only child by any chance? You know, she seems like a very manipulative person. Boy crazy girls are the worst friends. I mean, it's the fact she was trying to self-sabotage everybody, including herself. She really is a definition of a monstrosity. She's probably stalking your TikTok. She's probably stalking you right now. You know, you're literally in your bathroom getting ready. It wouldn't surprise me if she's peeking at you through the window. This sounds like the exact toxic friendship I had with my ex-best friend. She didn't come to my bachelorette party or wedding, and I offered to pay for her travel just so I could have her there. Then she blamed me like I'd been a bad friend for years and she had to stand her ground. If you're in a friendship with somebody and they are difficult to get along with, you know, they are just a drainer, just cut them off. It's the easiest thing to do. If you have anyone in your life who just drains you and makes you feel crap and just doesn't make you feel happy, just cut them off. It's a lot harder to do than it is to say. However, you know, that is just what you have to do, and quite clearly that woman is going to be a murderer. It would not surprise me if she is like a mass serial killer. 1 pump of what? I literally forgot that detail of the story. You know, out of the many details, that's one of the many ones that I blocked out of my memory. I just think that she's a lesbian, to be honest. I think she's either a lesbian or bisexual, and she has a crush on you. And the reason she ain't going to your wedding is because you're tanned and all. Even though she was never going to get with you, it's now official that it's never going to happen. Am I the a-hole for cutting contact with my childhood best friend because she demanded that I break up with my fiance? I cut contact with one of my closest childhood friends, Mary, a few weeks ago. While I feel relieved she's out of my life, most of my family and mutual friends think I overreacted, and now I'm starting to second guess my decision. Here's the full story. Okay, before we get into the story, whenever it comes to cutting somebody off, don't let external opinions get in your head. Make decisions which benefit you the most. Mary and I practically grew up as sisters. We were neighbours and our parents started arranging play dates for us before we could even walk. From kindergarten to secondary school, we did everything together. If I wasn't at her house, she was at mine. I trusted her completely and never thought of her as anything other than my best friend. Things changed when Mary moved away for university. At first I missed her, but over time I noticed how much easier my life felt without her constant presence. I wasn't being criticized, guilt-tripped, or forced to justify my choices anymore. It became clear how much control she had over me. Mary had a way of dominating every aspect of my life. She would dismiss my hobbies and pressure me to quit them, and if she didn't like one of my friends, I'd had to cut ties. You could call me a pushover, but when you grow up with someone like that, it's hard to see the manipulation for what it is. I never really see people talking about controlling friendship. You always hear about controlling relationships, you know, a girlfriend being controlling or a boyfriend being controlling. You rarely hear people talking about controlling friendships. Some friends out there are incredibly controlling. I've witnessed it. It's whenever one friend feels like they have more authority than the other friend and they control them. They're in the exact same category as a controlling partner and parent, but I feel like it just isn't taken as serious as others. Things really came to a head when I met my now fiance Dave. He's amazing, kind, supportive, and everything I've ever wanted in a partner. We clicked instantly, and he's honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. But of course Mary didn't approve. She immediately tried to plant seeds of doubt, saying he's too old, he'd cheat, and he was only using me. Thankfully for once I didn't listen to her, and I'm so glad I didn't. Maybe Mary thought that this guy was the right thing for you. She didn't want you to have happiness, she only wanted you to have her in her life. And it goes back to the controlling thing, you know, it is the same as a controlling partner. They don't want you talking to other people, they don't want you doing stuff without them. They only want you to have them and them only in your life. In December, Dave surprised me with the dream vacation, and during the trip he proposed. Everything about it was perfect. He planned every little detail, and it was more magical than I could have ever imagined. I was over the moon and couldn't wait to share news with everyone. Naturally, I told Mary, expecting at least some excitement, but instead she downplayed the entire thing. She criticized the proposal, saying how she would have done it differently and what could have been better. It stung, but I brushed it off and reminded her that it was my proposal, not hers. But Mary doesn't want you to get proposed to. Mary wants to be the only dominant figure in your life. And if Mary was a true friend, she would be super involved in it. She'd be on the phone with Dave every single night, figuring out how she could make this trip the best trip ever. A few weeks later, we met in person for the first time in months. That's when things completely fell apart. Out of nowhere, Mary told me I should break up with Dave. When I asked her why, her reasoning had nothing to do with me. Instead, she compared him to her boyfriend, Julian, saying things like Dave makes more money than Julian and Dave can give you everything while I have to work for what I want. So it's jealousy. She's comparing her partner to your partner. Your partner quite clearly is a lot more successful than hers, and she doesn't like that. It was clear she wasn't concerned about me, she was just jealous. She couldn't handle the fact that for once my life seemed better than hers. That situation kinda reminds me a little bit of whenever people want to lose weight. Have you ever seen people who are a bit bigger, you know, they're plus size, and they talk about how they want to lose weight, and other plus size people are in the comment sections basically attacking them, they turn on them. In certain communities, they don't want you to better yourself because it doesn't benefit them. There's a very loud but small minority that will view you as an enemy. They'll be like, you know, why are you trying to lose weight? You're falling for all of their tricks. You know, you should really love yourself, and if you really loved yourself, you would love yourself just the way you are. They just throw loads of word vomit at you and make you feel guilty about trying to lose a bit of weight. It is bizarre, isn't it? That was a breaking point for me. I told her to leave my house, and afterwards I sent her a long message explaining how hurt and disappointed I was. I told her her behaviour was unacceptable and I didn't want her to contact me again. Since then, it feels like she's told everyone in her social circle. Mutual friends and even some family members have reached out saying I was too harsh and should have handled things differently. Of course, because she's only told them her side. She's made herself the victim, like these people live their lives being a victim. They said that's just how Mary is, you've known her your whole life. She's always been in the spotlight and gotten what she wanted. Some even accused me of breaking her heart and told me I was wrong to choose my fiance over a lifelong friend. Why would you want a lifelong friend like her? Literally read this bit, that's just how Mary is, you've known her your whole life. She's always been in the spotlight and gotten what she wanted. So apparently for the first time ever, she's not gotten what she wanted and she's trying to literally destroy the one thing that makes you happy. Even my mum said she expected better of me, and that's what's making me question my decision. Did I overreact? Mary's been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. Sure, she has her flaws, but we've also shared countless good times in memory. Am I throwing away years of friendship over this? Did I try to fix things, or was cutting her off the right choice? The only person in this situation who should be making the decision is you. Are you happy around this friend? Do you enjoy being around her? That is what you should be thinking about. And quite clearly from what we've read, the answer is no. Not the a-hole. I cut ties with a friend a couple of years ago that I now recognise as a narcissist. I found out so much since breaking ties with her. It would not surprise me if she's been plotting against you your whole life. Anything bad that's randomly happened to you has probably got to do with her. And I really feel sorry for you, because cutting off a lifelong friend like that is difficult, especially when you've known each other your entire life. Hi Felicia, that idiot is toxic. You need women in your life who will lift you up, not push you down. Cut her off, no invitation to the wedding. That person put it very bluntly, and sometimes the best way to be is just blunt. Just sit her down and say, you know, I'm not happy with you, I don't like the way you are, this is the end of us. I'm an a-hole for telling my friend she has to stop punishing me for what her BF did. My friend Ali and I have been friends since we were 11. She's my oldest friend, we're different, but that's always worked for us though. When Ali started dating her ex Jake, I was really happy for her. Jake was fun, interesting, and he pulled Ali out of her shell, which was nice to see. The three of us would do a lot together since Jake and I had similar interests. For a while we were a good trio. I freely admit I was a bit blind to the signs that Jake was infatuated with me. I thought he was a nice guy who was trying to make his GS chronically single friend feel included. A lot of people clocked it. I thought they were overacting and being disrespectful to Ali. It was only when my roommate mentioned it that I started to think seriously about it. Unfortunately, it was too late to do anything because Jake made a move on me less than a week after that conversation. It was actually fairly public, so it wasn't even me that had to be the one to tell Ali. Ali and I did talk about it and I thought we were sticking together. She even came and stayed with me for 3 weeks after the breakup. I did everything I could to support her. But after 4 months, it never seems to be enough. I feel bad for the original poster, but I also feel bad for her friend. I've also been in a sort of similar situation. Basically, the guy who my friend was talking to liked me more than him. Now, I wasn't interested in the guy. I didn't give him any of my attention. I never spoke to him. But it did make my friend hate me a little bit. Basically, because the guy they wanted me more than them. And it is just a bit awkward. She's constantly making comments about me. What I wear, how I act, everything I do just seems to annoy her. She keeps pointing out everything I do, saying that is what gives guys the wrong idea. She doesn't seem to like going places with me anymore either. If we go out together, she leaves early if I get male attention, which I don't invite. I've taken her out for spa days, dinners, done everything I can to make her feel special, but I'm sick of feeling like Hester Prynne. At that point, you just have to deal with the fact that it is what it is. She obviously has a lot of envy and anger towards you, and she's not happy with the fact that her ex-boyfriend had a crush on you. How he felt towards you isn't your fault, but it's also not her fault, it's his fault. But she probably hates you for it. This came to a head on Sunday when I went to Ali's housewarming party. She greeted me, but I could see something was off, so I just left her to it and talked to other people. While I was talking to one of her colleagues, Ali pulled me aside and asked me to change my outfit because it was drawing attention. Spoiler, it was not. I refused to change into clothes she wanted to lend to me, so she said I had to leave. And after that, after what happened with Jake, she thought I would try to be more conscious of how I am. But it's not your fault that guys find you attractive, and it's not your fault you look good. It's just something you can't help. I kinda lost her and told her she needs to stop punishing me for what Jake did because I didn't do anything. I reminded her that she didn't see anything wrong either, so it's not like I was the only naive one, and that she was the person who brought him into my life, not the other way round. I said I was sick of her acting like she is the victim of something I did and she's being a brat, and then I left. My roommate feels I'm absolutely in the right and has been sick of how she treats me since she stayed with us, but I feel bad. The whole situation was messed up, and maybe I'm not giving Ali enough grace for feeling weird around me now. At the same time, she could just take some space rather than being rude to me. I don't know, I'm an a-hole. Look, it's obviously a very, very complicated situation. I understand how you feel, I also understand how Ali feels, but it's not your fault that her boyfriend had a crush on you. I think what Ali needs to realize is that he wasn't the guy for her. It's not her fault, it's not your fault, it's a him problem. And you know, I feel like a bit of therapy might help her. Not the a-hole, it isn't her responsibility to police her dating partners. Maybe you should have picked up on his intent, but your only real obligation from an ethical standpoint is you don't do anything with him. You didn't, so you're fine. She'll get over it or she won't. Either way, it isn't your fault. I just don't agree with the way Ali's making you feel. You know, it's not your fault, but then it's also not her fault. It just is a bit of an awkward situation to be in. Not the a-hole, it's obvious you know that you cannot be held responsible for what the ex did. You might be confused about why she's acting like this, even though you talked about it. In these situations, two factors influence the aftermath. First one is confidence and the second one is frustration. She probably lost part of her confidence because inadvertently you outshone her, so undermining you makes her feel better. And she's probably frustrated because she's still upset about the situation and she can only break up with her ex once. What you need to know is that you can do nothing about these. She has to work out these issues on her own. Therapy or maybe taking a break from the relationship. If she isn't willing to work on these, then there's nothing you can do. I'm sorry, but you did well standing your ground. Maybe it would be best if you initiate the break, because by the sounds of it, the frustration and envy is just gonna bottle up inside of your friend, and one day it's gonna explode.
Things my friend told me and I still stayed. I don't think anyone is prepared for what I'm about to say. She told me I wasn't allowed to say that I was Mexican because I grew up in Washington, not California. Got mad at me when I didn't change in front of her.
Oh.
Asked me in front of a group of people why my boyfriend had so much money. Made fun of a video I made and posted it to her Snapchat story, tagging me.
Oh,
and
that's
yes,
nasty.
she started off the video mocking me. I told her what makes me anxious, and then she
She's done
proceeded
it.
to trigger my anxiety, and then call me insecure and jealous.
Oh.
But text me my own TikToks, make a comment about them, or ask a question about it, but she wouldn't like the video or anything. Would show up to my door unannounced and bang on it until I let her in. Kicker is that my building has security. Got jealous if I made a friend that she didn't know about. Had an extreme obsession with wanting to meet my family. Anytime they were in town, she would want to come to dinner with us. Got genuinely upset one time because she found out my dad wasn't in my apartment and she thought he would be there, so she got upset when he wasn't. And that's not even everything.
Apparently it's not even everything, but to me that's enough. This just seems like a situation where she wants to be you, but she can't be you. Girl, she was in love with you. I feel like it was a hate-love relationship. You know, she knew she was never going to get her, so all of that love turned into envy. The changing one is wild. That is bizarre. That's like creepy. You have to get changed in front of her. Why? Is she like touching herself? She was not your friend. She wants you or your dad, or maybe both. She just seems like a nasty friend. You know, that whole thing about sending your TikToks to you and then tagging you in her private Snapchat story. That just screams nasty. Well, anyways, guys, to leave that video there, that is some people whose friends were secretly their biggest enemy. Those seem like a more fake friends, they may definitely will. Press subscribe and see you all tomorrow for another video.